Welcome to The Darkest Secrets. Tonight, I will take you into a chilling, true story that many people wish they had never experienced. A tale of real paranormal events, whispers in the dark, and a cursed hotel room that has terrified guests for decades. This is the haunting of Room 6 at the Crescent Hotel. Turn off your lights, put on your headphones, and prepare yourself, because some secrets refuse to stay buried. I remember the first time I heard about the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. It wasn't from a travel guide or a glossy brochure trying to lure tourists in. It was from a trembling voice, a woman who claimed she would never set foot in that place again. She said, "There's something inside Room 6, something that doesn't want you there." At first, I dismissed it as another ghost story. After all, every old hotel in America claims to be haunted. They use it as marketing, shadowy figures in hallways, creaking doors, flickering lights. But this one had a different weight to it. Because the Crescent Hotel wasn't just old, it was cursed by its very history. Built in 1886, the Crescent was meant to be a luxurious retreat for the wealthy. But within a few years, its halls turned cold and silent. Businesses failed, guests vanished. And then, in the 1930s, a man named Norman Baker bought it. Baker was no doctor, but he pretended to be one. He turned the hotel into a hospital for cancer patients, promising miracle cures. Hundreds of desperate men and women checked in, hoping for life. Very few ever checked out. They say their cries still echo in the halls. Their shadows never left. And Room 6 has been called the epicenter. It was the fall of 2012 when I decided to spend a night there. Call it curiosity, call it recklessness. I wanted to know if the stories were true. I booked the infamous Room 6, not telling anyone where I was going. If something happened to me, well, I suppose I wanted to experience it for myself. The moment I entered the hotel, I felt it. The lobby was grand, with chandeliers and polished floors, but beneath the surface, there was a heaviness in the air. Guests moved quickly, avoiding eye contact with the staff, and the staff themselves wore stiff, uneasy smiles. When I asked the front desk about Room 6, the receptionist hesitated. Her fingers froze above the keyboard. For just a second, I saw fear flash in her eyes. She leaned closer and whispered, "Most guests who stay there don't last the night." The hallway leading to Room 6 felt different from the rest of the hotel. The lights were dimmer, the air colder. My footsteps echoed on the wooden floorboards, each creak sounding louder than it should have. I stopped in front of the door. The brass numbers, 6, were slightly tarnished, as if touched by countless nervous hands. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. The room was simple. A double bed with an old iron frame, a dresser, a mirror with cloudy glass, and a single window that looked out onto the dark forest beyond the hotel grounds. But there was something else, an energy, a heaviness that pressed down on me the moment I crossed the threshold. I set my bag on the bed, trying to shake off the feeling. It was just an old hotel, I told myself. Old places creak, they hold memories, that's all. But then, the bathroom door creaked open on its own. I froze. My heart hammered in my chest. Slowly, I walked over and looked inside. The bathroom was empty, silent. I touched the door. It was stiff, old wood that shouldn't have moved so easily. Trying to calm myself, I set up my recorder on the nightstand. I had promised myself I'd document everything. If nothing happened, at least I'd have proof of a quiet night. If something did, well, I'd have evidence. By midnight, I turned off the lamp and lay in bed, listening. At first, nothing, just the hum of silence. Then, a knock. Not on the door, not from the hallway. It came from inside the room. 3 soft, deliberate knocks from the dresser. I sat up instantly, staring at the wooden dresser in the corner. The air had turned icy, my breath visible in the dark. I wanted to move, to run, but my body felt paralyzed. The mirror above the dresser seemed to ripple, as if the glass itself were water. And in that faint, distorted reflection, I saw a figure standing directly behind me. I spun around. Nothing. The room was empty, but the knocking came again. I couldn't sleep after that. The knocks, the reflection in the mirror, it was too real to dismiss as imagination. My recorder was still running, its red light blinking faintly in the darkness. I forced myself to lie back down, telling myself I'd review the audio in the morning. But the night wasn't done with me. At around 2:13 a.m., I woke to the sound of footsteps. Slow, heavy, deliberate, pacing back and forth across the wooden floor. I held my breath, my eyes darting around the room. No one was there, yet the sound grew louder, circling the bed as if someone unseen was stalking me. I whispered into the dark, "Who's there?" The footsteps stopped, and then a voice. A woman's voice, faint, broken, as though carried from a great distance. It whispered, "Help me." I shot up, my body trembling. The sound had come from the bathroom. Against every instinct screaming at me to run, I grabbed my flashlight and pointed it toward the open door. For a moment, I saw nothing, just cracked tiles and a clawfoot bathtub. But then, in the corner of the tub, something began to take shape. A shadow first, then the outline of a figure, a woman, her hair tangled and wet, her eyes hollow and lifeless, her mouth opened as though she were about to scream. I staggered backward, the flashlight shaking in my hand. My heart pounded so hard it felt like it would burst from my chest. And then she vanished. The tub was empty, but the water inside it had ripples, as though something had just climbed out. By the time the first gray light of dawn seeped through the window, I was exhausted, shaken, and desperate to leave. But before checking out, I needed answers. I went down to the lobby where an older staff member was just starting his shift. Unlike the receptionist from the night before, he didn't hide the truth when I asked him directly about room 6. He sighed,
looked over his shoulder to make sure no one else was listening, and said quietly, "You're not the first to see her. That room, it belonged to one of Baker's patients." The Norman Baker sent a chill down my spine. I had read about him, the so-called doctor who turned the Crescent Hotel into a sham hospital in the 1930s. Desperate people with cancer came here for miracle cures. Most never left alive. The staff member leaned closer. Her name was Theodora. She was a nurse here, or at least she dressed like one. Some say she was helping Baker. Others say she was a patient pretending to work so she wouldn't be sent away. But one night, she disappeared. Guests in